Hello again, everybody. I am here with another little little review of one of my knives, and this is a sentimental one for me. Um, I'm sure most of y'all have already recognized this is a Buck 371. I've got all kinds of knives, case knives, SE, all different kinds of, EDC stuff. Rough Rider, Camelus, you name it. I've got knives that I paid $5 for, and I've got knives that I paid $400 for. But this knife is one of, if not my most prized possessions when it comes to knives. A little bit of a backstory on this one. I met my wife. We started dating in 2018, and we started dating just a few months before I had to deploy again with the Air Force National Guard. And right before we deployed, like I said, we started dating, and I met her family and started going to family functions. And her grandfather was a retired former Marine. He had joined the Marine Corps, I believe it was right after World War II, went all the way through Vietnam. Obviously was an E1 when he started, worked his way all the way up to, I believe, E7, gunnery sergeant, because when he was an E6, when he was a staff sergeant, he was a drill instructor on Parris Island. But while he was a E7, he became an officer. He went to OCS, became an officer, and eventually retired the rank of major. Came back here to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where I live, and started a career selling insurance of all things. But anyway, he always carried one of these knives. Now, sadly, Mr. His name was David Welburn, Major David Welburn. Sadly, he passed away not long after me and my wife started dating. We started dating in February, and Mr. Welburn passed away in May. And that following Christmas, or maybe it was two Christmases later, his widow, my wife's grandmother, Mimi, we all called her, gave all of her, I guess we would be the great son-in-laws, this knife. This was a Christmas gift from her, a few Christmases after her husband passed away, after me and my wife got married. So, like I said, it's by no means is this the most expensive knife in my collection, but if I can't find someone to pass this knife on to, then I'll be buried with it. Yeah, as far as my knives go, this is probably one of my most prized possessions. There is another one that I'll show you later in another video that's definitely on par, but this one really does it. But yeah, he always carried one of these knives, and it didn't take me long carrying this knife to figure out why. I wouldn't have really been a fan of the wood handles on a traditional pocket knife like this. They're great. They're great. Now, Buck, they started making knives in the early 1900s and always made them in the United States over at Post Falls, Idaho, and they still do. But in 2000, they started manufacturing knives in China. And this is one of the Chinese knives. Now, that doesn't mean anything negative. The quality of this knife has been, I'm sure, exactly what it would have been if this would have been an American made knife. There's a stamp there with the number 371. But yeah, there are U.S. made versions of this. As far as in addition to the Chinese versions, the steel on the blades is a 420 J2 steel. Now, I don't have any serious complaints about this steel. However, I can I sharpen all my knives the same way, and I can sharpen the blades on this knife to the same degree, and then sharpen the blades on one of my other knives that might have a little higher grade steel, and that other knife is going to be sharpened a little better. No, it does. It does get a very nice edge, and it will hold it. It won't hold it indefinitely. It's not like a case surgical steel or anything like that, but it will hold an edge very very well, and it'll take one as well. The handle, this is, I really don't know what they kind of call this, just more of just their dark wood, because you can get this same knife, this same pattern, with bone scales on it, like a dark bone scale and a burl wood. And I've seen a few photos and videos of this knife with the burl wood, and it's really pretty. And it doesn't wear down. It keeps a good look. But yeah, this knife now, a story I have to tell to kind of brag on the durability of this knife is almost embarrassing, but I'm going to tell it all the same. I had this knife for about a year, and I was doing some light electrical work, putting in running another line for power out to my shop here, and we were coming out of the external breaker box, of course, going underground, going out. And I left this knife sitting up on top of the breaker box. And for 2 days, I thought I just lost it. And I was just beside myself. I didn't even tell my wife. I was just beside myself because, again, told y'all the story about how I got it, and I was really upset. But I ended up finding it, and it was all the blades were closed, and like I said, it was just sitting there on top of the breaker box, mounted on the side of the wall. So it was under a little bit of an overhang. But it did rain one of the days it was sitting out there. No damage, no rust, nothing. It had actually been long enough after the rain where it had dried off, so I didn't even have any water sitting in it. It didn't mess up the bolsters. Obviously, the blades either, the wood, it didn't warp the wood. The pins are still smooth and flush. So yeah, very very durable. If it does get wet or left out in the weather, you don't have to worry about this wood swelling or cracking or anything like that. It held up. But yeah, I don't carry this knife a whole lot anymore. I've, for all practical purposes, retired it, because I did want to leave it in as best shape as I could. But it sits on the shelf with some other very valuable collectibles of mine, protected, obviously. But yeah, I wanted to show this one off as kind of a sentimental piece. And most people, knife enthusiasts like myself has a similar story about a knife they either found somewhere or, was given to them or something similar. But yeah, I'll never forget the Christmas that I got this knife. And just thinking about it brings back some really good memories to some people that I miss. But I'm glad y'all checked out the video. Again, I'm just kind of doing these, going through my collection one knife at a time. So feel free to share these videos with anyone. Hit the like and subscribe button. On YouTube, every time that like button and the subscribe button is hit, your videos get pushed out to more and more people. And I'm a new channel, just trying to get this off the ground. And I'm not doing it for the likes and the follows. I do it because I like talking about my knives, like a lot of other people do. And just hope this will be another place where I can meet you guys. But again, thanks for checking out the video. Y'all have a great one.